Okay, so hey everybody, this is my Fern. As you can see, it's still alive. It hasn't died yet on me. It's been growing pretty well. As you can see, it's gotten a lot longer fronds on it now. It has started shedding some leaves, but I think that's mostly just because it's growing a lot. I have a couple fronds that maybe have died a little bit towards the end. I got to trim those up, but I've just mainly been feeding it, or not feeding it, but mainly putting water on it. I haven't fertilized it since the first time. I'm probably going to do that this upcoming week. Been keeping it on a countertop with sunlight. Same thing I've been doing. And it's doing well. I've been misting it when I need to, or when I feel like it needs to be misted, probably like every other day. But yeah, that's about it on the fern. So I'll move on to my grant proposal now. I finally decided on, here we go. On my grant proposal, I decided to study Gerber daisies, Boston ferns, and ficus trees as a sort of biological air purifier. So we would be in my study, we would be looking at the relevance of those three, and I picked those three because they're really easy to find. They're well-known house plants. Everybody knows what a Gerber daisy and a fern and a ficus tree are. You see those all over the place in people's houses. So the point of this study is to find out which already common house plant is the best at lowering particulate matter concentrations and the concentration of VOCs. The way we would achieve this is by using a monitor. The monitor would be the laser egg plus chemical. It costs around $200. The plants themselves would be around $200 too. So we would be right at or a little over $300. The way in which this study would be conducted is I set it up to where it would basically be kind of like how we're doing with the ferns. It would be the lab for spring of 21, yeah. And they would be conducting this study as the lab, and they would pretty much have complete control over it themselves. So I did it to where there should be 4 groups. Each group will conduct different monitoring, either of a closet or some other room that gets very little foot traffic. The first group wouldn't have a plant in that room yet. They would just be getting initial readings to get a feel of where the concentrations of particulate matter and VOCs are in the room. Once that group has done their monitoring, they've conducted all of their experimentation, and they analyze their stuff. Then we move on to the second group, and the second group would have Gerber daisies, and they place a Gerber daisy in the room, a Gerber daisy plant in the room. They would then they would either ensure that whatever, it depends on what we're testing at the time. So if we're testing particulate matter, let me see, I gotta remind myself. Okay, so if we're testing particulate matter, a candle would be burned in the room until the particulate matter reached a concentration of 75 micrograms per cubic meter. Then we would place the plant in there, conduct our experiment, pull the plant out, get our readings, and analyze them. Then we would move on to the next plant for particulate matter. We would do particulate matter all at once. So we would just be focusing on particulate matter for the first run of tests. Then we would come back for a second run of tests and just concentrate on VOCs. And the way to get the VOC concentration where it needs to be, we would place 1 milliliter samples of acetone inside the testing area, and it would evaporate until we get a reading of 100 part per million. Then we would place a plant in there, let it sit, and go from there. Where we'd really just be focusing on the change in concentrations of particulate matter and of the pollutants in the room, and we would be comparing the performances of the Gerber daisy, the fern, and the ficus tree, and drawing a conclusion and saying that this plant works best for particulate matter, or the fern. Let's say the fern works best for particulate matter, and the Gerber daisies work best for VOCs. So we would be able to draw that conclusion. We would also be able to figure out how many plants we would need for a room that is that we know the size of, because we'll be able to measure the room that we're testing, and we'll be able to apply that square footage and make a ratio out of it and see how many plants we would need for a room that is any size you want, as long as you know the square footage of it. And you can figure out how much air is in there. I think that the plant that'll probably do the best at lowering pollutant concentrations would probably be the fern, because it has the most surface area. But the one that would be the best for its size is probably the Gerber daisy. I don't think the ficus tree is going to do that great, but the Gerber daisy, from what I saw in NASA's studies, is from NASA's findings, it said that the Gerber daisy was one of the better purifiers of pollutants for its size. So yeah, that's mainly my methods for everything for my draft proposal, or for my grant proposal. That's really about it. Yeah, that's all I got. So see y'all in class.